You can change your life in an instant just by answering questions that people have for you or that life has for you. Hey, I'm Alex. I talk about manifestation on this channel and we're going to get right into it. So, life is like a choose your own adventure book. Do you choose to believe that a situation will get better? Yes or no? Now, for this concept that I am presenting, I believe that I'm going to need a lot of examples, or else it's going to be just a little too vague. And unfortunately, in my notes when I had this amazing idea, I didn't write down the examples I was thinking of. So if you see me pausing, it's because I'm going to formulate some amazing ones on the fly through intuition. It doesn't lead me astray if I listen to it. But, crossroads happen in life. Choices happen in life. When you're trying to manifest something and things start to come in, they ask you, it's kind of like birds before land, right? So say, for example, I am in the process of moving. I did finally secure a place, but oh my God, moving and trying to find the place that you're going to live at can be a real nightmare, right? It can be. It's something that I think a lot of us believe is stressful, and so we manifest that it's stressful, right? We could manifest that it's not stressful, and this latest time I did try and practice that it didn't need to be stressful, and I noticed a significant amount of less stress. I don't know if I said that correctly this time around, but when you've got that perfect place in mind and you just haven't found it yet, and like you feel the timeline coming up and like this place is available, but you have to act now and you're so afraid of like missing out on the thing that's meant for you, even though you can never miss out on the thing that's meant for you, but our brain thinks that we can, maybe, depending on our belief system. I think that housing is one that a lot of people share this, so if it doesn't resonate, I'm going to do other examples, but I was looking for something within my budget, and, I wanted it to have these features, and I knew that it was going to give me fewer options, but I was trying to believe that there would be an abundance of the right fit finding me. And even if that was just one or two places that it really came down to. And so, I had these lists of all these places, and I was calling and I was finding out all these things that were crossing them off the list, and I was like, everything was just like, could have been very overwhelming. And during this time, I kept asking myself, like, every time something seemed every time something seemed great and then it turned out to be too good to be true, it could have been discouraging, and I could have been like, oh my gosh, at my price, in my budget, I'm never going to find the thing I want. And so I just asked myself the question of, do I believe that I deserve it? And the answer was yes. And so then I asked myself, do I believe that the universe can find a way to give this thing to me? And the answer was yes. But the key is asking yourself in your beliefs, do you really believe it though? And do you really believe that it can happen for you? And so, life being like a choose your own adventure book, I had this like daydream visualization of like an analogy of, in a story, perhaps the character is faced with something and someone asks them a question, they say, oh, okay, like, are you really okay with, this partner? Right, let's switch up the example. Are you really okay with dating Sally? And maybe the character's like, yeah, she's great. She has these qualities that I like, and she seems to have good communication skills. I don't know. But if that person is speaking in a way that is coming from fear, and they're trying to settle in their mind because they're afraid that they can't really have the thing that they want, and so they're trying to put forth excuses of why they should settle for this thing, so they list all the traits that they really like about Sally, but what they're hiding are the things that they know are not in alignment. Maybe, I don't know, I really don't practice speaking negatively about people, so this is actually hard to think of negative things for this example. I don't know. Maybe Sally smokes, and the person doesn't want someone who smokes. Maybe she really, really likes swimming a lot, and the person doesn't like pools. You know? Maybe there's a couple deal breakers in there, but they're glazing over them because they're afraid of being alone, or they're afraid that they're not going to get, any better. Maybe Sally checks off 3 out of 6 boxes, and they don't believe that they can get more than that. They don't believe that they'll ever have all their boxes of what they desire in a partner checked off, right? Okay. But when their friend says, hey, so you really like Sally, and this person says, yeah, oh my God, she's amazing. But of course it's not truly in alignment, and they're lying to themselves. The story of your life is going to show you that. So just like in the story, there's like a narrator that's like, but they were lying. Sally didn't check off, these 3 boxes, but this person was just afraid to say that, The pages of your life are going to reveal what your belief system actually is. So if you are not conscious of the way that you are not in alignment with your belief system, it's going to reflect into your life. Because, of course, by the nature of you not realizing, you think that you're speaking from truth. So when things start to show up weird in your life, pay attention to them, because it's really going to show you your true belief system that you may be in denial about. So, for example, sorry, my voice is like still crazy. The answer isn't always a simple yes or no when life asks you, do you believe that this thing will get better? So like for me with my apartment search, I saw some things, I'd go like drive around an apartment complex, and I'd be like, this place looked great online, but I'm here and this is a nightmare, like, oh my gosh, will I ever find something that I can afford that's in the area that I want? Because, the cost of living is insane. And so I had to ask myself, do I choose to believe that this thing will get better? And, of course, it's like a yes or no answer. And I don't think, I am very in tune with myself, and I've done a lot of hard work around that. But there are still times where, like, I'm in denial about things, or just not fully in tune with, the truth and where that's coming from. So the answer can be a simple yes or no, but then you really need to see, like, do I really believe that I deserve these things? Do I really believe that I can have it? And you just need a small yes for it to come through. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the path to it is going to be easy. I knew that I believed that I deserved this apartment that I wanted, and I could see it, like I could dream about it. But none of the places I had on my list that were in my budget met those things. And it was really discouraging, and I had no idea where it was going to come from, but I did have faith that it was going to come through. And then, as I was pursuing, I'll share the rest of this story, as I was pursuing these, apartment searches, and I was calling and getting information, I started to learn that some apartments have like add-on like fees that were like $100, if not more, for like amenities. So it's like the rent looked like it was in my budget, and now all of a sudden it's not. And then what I also learned was sometimes their like community fees or their amenity fees actually include some of your utilities, which then in certain cases could mean that certain places could be in my budget, because when I was looking for certain rental prices, I was excluding utilities, thinking I would have to pay for them all separately. So that got me to shift my budget a little bit in my apartment search, and a new apartment complex showed up on my list because I expanded my budget a little bit. So I learned things that led me to shift the way I was looking, and of course that's the one that I ended up at. But, sorry, I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to wrap this up. It was tough to have to, like, go investigate each place, even if that just meant calling and getting answers to the questions, and finding out that maybe I was crossing another one off my list, because I had this huge list of apartment complexes, and it's like, I need to move within a certain time frame, and, all these things. It's moving. I know you guys all know that moving can be the worst, right? But I was really trying to rewrite that story, that this wasn't necessarily going to be so hard. But every time I crossed off, like I had I had so many. I had so many places listed. So many places listed, and it came down to 2 places that I could actually maybe live at. And then when I went and visited those 2 places, the one was perfect, and the other one, like, there was this other crazy thing that wasn't on their web. They had an insane security deposit, which, like, you do you, but it was not normal, I'll say that. And, you know, it just became very clear that this one was perfect. I mean, perfect. And my journey into discovering it, if I had not engaged with those other places and faced my fears of rejection, you know, they weren't rejecting me, I was rejecting them, but I had to go through and say, do I want this? No. Do I want this? No. But I still believe that my, you know, perfect place is out there. I hope this is making sense. You know, like, it was very intimidating because it's like a choose your own adventure. You know, each apartment that I investigated was a crossroads. Am I going to choose to let this be discouraging and scare me? Am I going to choose to feel like, oh, this is hopeless, if I can't get this place, then, you know, nothing's ever going to happen? No. Each time it didn't work out, I knew I was getting closer, and literally all of those that I investigated or pursued, like I told you, it led me to realize that I could actually search outside of what I thought my budget was, because some things were included, and I found the perfect place. I found the perfect place because I went and interacted with my 3D in ways that were intimidating, and every time I was faced with an intimidation of, you know, you'll never get better than this kind of thing, I chose to believe that, yes, I could. That perfect place is out there. And just because this looks awful doesn't mean that it's going to be awful. And then I'm going to do another video on, yet again, I think I've done like 2 weeks of like purges and testing and that kind of thing. But I'm going to do one on triggers, I think, specifically. So be on the lookout for that one. But yeah, you go out there and interact with your world and decide to rewrite your story at every little crossroads. Every time you have to answer a question, whether it's someone actually asking you or you asking yourself, am I going to choose to let this affect me in a negative way, or am I going to push this into something positive? You get to make major changes that way. You get to shift things majorly. Like I said, moving, I think a lot of us think it's very stressful, it's tedious, it's exhausting, and every time I had people telling me that, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry you're moving, you know, that's such a, you know, awful process. I was like, it doesn't have to be. I can choose for it to not be awful. I'm going to tell you, that didn't fully render during this experience, but it was just my perception. Everything was truly fine the entire time, but my perception was, this is going to be way harder. So every time a little thing happened, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a way bigger issue. It never was. It turned out that what I thought was going to be a bigger issue was never even an issue to begin with. Anyway, that's my little ramble of the power of choice and choosing things. Everything you interact with. Like, my original thought for this video was, you know, being asked a question and just having the power of how you answer a question shifts your entire reality. But it's so much more than someone just asking you a question. It's when life asks you a question, how are you going to react to this? You choose. What is the energy that you're going to choose to embody in each moment? And you can make massive shifts in your life every time you answer with your energy, with holding true to your standards, with knowing. And it might sound really easy, like what I just explained to you, you know, that I just chose every time to know that, no, my perfect place is out there. It wasn't easy because it looked like I ran out of options. And I kind of did, in a way. I ran out of options, and then I decided to just see what was out there, and, you know, maybe there was some sort of fees incorporated, and this was really going to be in my budget. Who knows? And that's how it came through. but I had to choose to know that everything was going to work out for me. And I feel like I've said that enough, so I'm going to wrap this up here. If you would like to connect with me one-on-one, link to my website down below. Also a link to my Patreon. The tiers are set up as low monthly donations if you would like to support this channel and also get bonus content and priority for requests. Or I prioritize your requests for videos and content that I'll be making. Like this video, drop a comment. I love hearing from you guys so much. Love, love, love your comments. It might take me a little bit to get back to them, just because of the move and everything. But I feel like this is going to happen quickly and not be that big of a deal. But just a heads up, you know, moving is whatever you want it to be. You know what? This is going to be an easy move for me, and I'm going to have plenty of free time. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how quickly I can shift that belief. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you in the next video.